Hey guys, my name is Hashim Mohammed and welcome to this hack project tutorial. In this video, we'll be learning how to build a story creator or script writing tool. And hey guys, my name is Hashim Mohammed and welcome to this hack project tutorial. In this video, we'll be building an easy to use story creator or script writer tool for everybody. So this is how it's going to work. Is basically we're going to have a tool where anybody can use to write great scripts or stories. And it's actually inspired from a tool called Plotagon. And the way it works is something like this. So basically, instead of writing the whole story in a Word document, we're gonna give some kind of fillers that users can use to like write a script faster than usual, and they can save it on the cloud as well. So this is how it's gonna go. Well, users will be able to set up scenes, and that will be playing this, simple text, something that they can type in. So it could be something like once upon a time, one morning, in the night, up above the sky, whatever it is, something that the user will type in. Now this will be completely manual. The scene can be like a title, like you could say, once upon a time there was a furious rabbit or something like that. Okay. They will also be able to add characters on their own. So first they will start describing what are the characters, um, and then to build a whole story, they will have one, two, three. In this case, we'll have only like three, not three, four kinds of emotions or scenes. And the first one is the dialogue. So we're gonna have dialogues like one person saying the other person, one just announcing something, commanding something, questioning something, or replying something. So we'll be having something like responded. So we'll have dialogues like this, and you'll also have things like he doing action on somebody. So either when I kick somebody, punch somebody, I sit on somebody, warn somebody, point at somebody, or whatever it is. I just have a few examples here. Again, you can go on writing as much as you want to. Again, the next thing is emotion. So if you want to describe what the character is like, so for example, he's very nauseous. So he's gonna say, "Hey, I'm gonna be nauseous. I feel very nauseating." Okay, so you can write in a story using these kinds of blocks, and this X and Y is basically the characters that the user will create. So this will make the user like the story creation a lot faster and a lot more fun for everybody. So let's go to bubble.is. Again, if you don't know what bubble.is is, it's a very easy to use no code app web app creation tool for everybody. So if you don't already, go to bubble.is, sign up and log in and create a new app, and now just follow. So we're going to call this story creator. And again, this tutorial will assume that you guys have the basic understanding of how to work with Bubble. If not, a link will be in the description to go ahead and take the basic course on Bubble. So check that course and then come back here. So I'll go ahead and click on start from blank canvas. I'll just go ahead and set some basic things up. Instead of standard Bubble theme, I would choose probably flat UI, and then say use this theme, and I'll close the assistant. I don't need anything else. Typically, what you need is a login screen and a sign up screen because the characters are going to be unique for different stories. So it's ideal that you ask the user to authenticate so that we can save the characters in his account. That's much better than or we can save the characters inside the story, which is much better, right? So let's go ahead and skip the login part because that's just the boring thing. So let's go ahead and allow the user first to type in the name of the story. So I'm gonna give a text input, and I'm gonna have a button here that says create a story, or say tell a story. Um, and then I'm going to say placeholder as a name of your story, and so I'm gonna give it a heading here. So either it could be script writer or story script writer, and I'm going to make this title center large, center horizontal. So I guess it looks better now, but you can definitely spend your time and make this look a lot more better than it is. So the next page we're gonna have is the part where they'll be able to like choose. Uh, they'll be able to edit the story. So it's gonna be the story editor. Um, let's not clone from anything. Let's create from scratch. So the first thing is we're gonna have there are gonna be two parts, and one the first part is going to be the characters. Uh, and the second part is the dialogue on the story itself. So on the case of the characters, let's go ahead and make this heading 1, and I'm going to like spread it like this and center horizontal. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a repeating group here, and I am going to um, like increase the width to this much, and I'm gonna put this like this. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to allow the user to add more characters like this. So he's gonna type in the new character name, and then he's going to be able to add those characters. Name of the character, uh, character. And then it shouldn't actually be that simple. You can of course allow the user to like type in a villain or a hero or whatever, and then probably give some different options. Actually, mine is going to be purely text based. But if you're gonna be something, if you're gonna add something like a GIF based stuff, actually, I don't know if I still have this, but um, there is a tool that I created a long time ago. It was called I don't know what's it like. It's called Stellar. Like I don't know if it still exists. There was a tool that I made about a year ago, and it's this one. Let me show you. Um, I don't know. Yeah, so basically this is how it goes. So you just create a story, and then it will be something like Instagram, like stories, but you can like use GIFs or images like this. So you can click on plus button, add text to images or whatever, and then start adding them. We also developed a Android app for it. So let me show you that as well, like just to inspire you guys. Oh, there's there's somebody who's just pirating stuff here. Um, Let me show you here on Google Play. So this is in French, but yeah, as you can see here, the way it goes is something like this. So you can like write, tell stories like this offline. So if you can, you don't really need to share with anybody. You can keep this for yourself. So this is one app we developed. So this is one kind of a story creation tool we did a long time back, and this tutorial is actually inspired from that. Except this is going to be um, heavily text based and sort of more ever for script writing as opposed to keeping it for your memories and stuff. Okay, so let's add this character, and what are the tools I may need? I probably will have a text here to display the name of the character, um, and let me extend this like this, and then I probably will have a delete button. So you can of course have a, let's add an icon instead. Let's call it delete or trash. And as you can see, you can't really see the icon color here. Let's remove the background color, and the border style is some weird color, I guess. It's in a color I can't really see, so let's change it to this color. So this is the trash, like to delete the character. Okay. Uh, you can have images, okay, to denote the character if you want. But in my case, I really don't want to do that, so I'm just call it name of the character for now. Let's define the dataset later. Name of the character. Okay, so this is the character. Then let's go ahead and write the actual script. So um, let's add the script here. This is going to be the editor. We're also going to have probably the viewer screen where we don't have to display all the characters, okay? Because that will come on the screen itself. So now we have the script editor. Uh, And then, you know what, let's make this a little faster by just duplicating this repeating group down here, because it's going to be a text again in the end of the day. Maybe we want to have some custom font for this. Okay, maybe Montserrat is not the right font. Scripts typically use it for a font, like a kind of font. Actually, I'm really bad. I have not written films, like I've not written movies, so I don't really know which font is that exactly. My guess is it's Courier. Like I'm not really sure about it, but I think it's the. Let's go check out Kusim. Yeah, this one, like at least it looks similar to a script, right? So, um, let's go with this one. And this repeating group looks really bad. Let's change this to extended vertical scrolling, and this also to extended vertical scrolling first. Um, extended vertical scrolling, and then also let's change the separator to probably solid, and let's make this really light because it looks really bad there. If you want, again. I'm gonna add a solid. So looks better. Again, maybe not the best, but yeah. So we have the name of the character. Not the name of the character. This is gonna be the script. Okay. So now we're gonna have the actual script creation tool. So how can we do this? So the whole thing comes somewhere over here. So the way it's gonna work is we're going to. Oh, let's go back here. Store editor. We're gonna give some ample space here. We're gonna create a number of groups. So let's go create the first group. So we're having one, two, like about five types of, like story elements. Let's call these elements, okay? Each script or each element, like each scene, because scene is again a different element itself. Like, let's call this elements. So each story element will has a different type. So for example, scene is going to be like a single field of text. That's enough for it to be for it. But if you want to say dialogue, it can have like two different characters. So for example, X and Y, so there can be two characters involved. So it can there can be one character involved saying something. In some cases, there will be no character involved. Like for example in scene, and sometimes one will act on Y. So there's going to be two characters and a drop down. In this case, probably one is having an emotion. So one is not like a character X is scared, character X is happy, whatever. So there are going to be different kinds of fields. So what we're going to do is we're going to show the groups depending on the kind of the story element we have. So let's first create the first one, which is the easy one, which is the scene thing, which is as simple as writing in the text. So we're going to center vertically and center horizontally as well, and then we're going to like do it like this, and then I'm going to add a button like this, and then like this, and then like this. All right, so I'm gonna say add. All right, so let's. Okay, so for the placeholder text, let's say describe your scene here, and then um, okay. So here we have the part where they can add a scene. Let's duplicate this. We're gonna make this invisible in the end. We're gonna have it like either an icons that when they select, they're gonna be able to add individual things. So now we have a dialogue. So for example, uh, there's gonna be one character who's gonna say something. So we're gonna have a drop down first that they can select which character is saying this. Look at this weird drop down. It has that, you know, this green color stuff. Looks so bad. I mean, when you design themes, I mean, especially big companies like Bubble, like, I don't know, I think they should spend enough time to at least give us a good theme. Like, this looks really bad. Choose a character. So let's give the choices later. So first let's define the UI so you guys can also see what I'm trying to achieve with this. Um, write your dialogue here. So um, you know what? For this text info, let's change the font to Cosine, I guess, because we're pretty much, we're gonna use the same theme everywhere. Um, let's use the same font everywhere because it's the story tool. So let's change the thing to Cosine. Um, let's change this one as well to Cosine. Or maybe not. Let's leave this alone. Um, and even the drop down, let's change it to Cosine. All right, there you go. Background style, I don't want anything. For the placeholder, maybe yeah, like this. Um, let's go back here. Alright, so looks like we're almost there. Background style is none, and we're gonna have probably a background color, a border color here, and that looks okay. Okay, choose a character, and then you'll be able to write your dialogue here. And actually, the other stuff is going to be him saying somebody else. Or you know what? Dialogue is this one is enough, right? So he says this. Yeah, that's. I mean, you don't have to like say said that person. You don't really need this. Like, let's remove this. Okay. So the other part is just like dialogues need to be like in the particular story element. Let's add only one. So now we're gonna have another part where we're gonna have two different you know things happening. So the first thing is going to be the character, and then we're gonna have another character, but in between we're gonna have what is the emotion like. So sorry, acts on, sorry, so choose, so say choose action. So maybe I don't know if that's the right word for it. So this is going to be all the actions. So we're gonna like all add this one is static text. So let's add that those are the choices. Now you can of course add your own set of choices here. Um, so this one is gonna like the first character hits this person, kicks this person, so they can add that. I hope that's like clear, right? So this character chooses this character. Let's also um, let's also probably add another one where you can define the emotion. So you can say um, choose emotion. So this is going to be different kinds of stuff here. So emotions, so we're gonna use this one, and then we're gonna add it right over here. Choose emotion, and then we add that right there. So there we go. So the character is scared, whatever it is. Okay. Now there's one problem if you haven't noticed it already is that when we say dialogue, we can of course we allow the user to like type in the dialogue, but the problem is I think we need to like put this down here, and instead of like putting this as a single line, let's kind of give this a multi-line input. And also, I don't know if this guy is just saying something or commanding something, kind of dialogue. So it's like, is he responding or is he like I don't know. Is it like first of all, let's go ahead and add a multi-line input here. So let's extend this here, I'm gonna like give this a little more space here. Placeholder. I'm gonna say write your dialogue here. I'm gonna say like you don't have to limit the number of characters. Let's say the input should not be empty. Definitely, you can add a dialogue without entering anything into this. So yeah, I guess stretch to fit content. Um, okay, let's say okay. Um, that's okay. Now let's go ahead and increase the length of this. Alright, so now we have the kind of dialogue. Let's add the kinds of dialogue options here. So that's like this. So we're gonna copy this and then paste it over here. So instead of saying X response because that's going to come from the character. So let's remove this. Uh, let's remove this like this. Okay, so now we have the kind of dialogue, and then it's going to type in the dialogue here. So this is all the boxes, and this is how it's going to create the story. So if you kind of understand what I'm trying to do here, you pretty much understood the whole project actually, because this is the most important part. So you know what, before I start to like put them all together, I'm gonna put this like in a separate place, like down here. um, and what I'm going to do is uh, I'm gonna put a tab here, like not a tab exactly, but I'm gonna put a group here, and over here I'm going to add a roundness, and I'm going to make this like an off-white color. Um, I'll probably, you know what, let's go ahead and add a button itself. That's much better. So let's go ahead and change this to something probably inverse button. So it's going to be like, what are you trying to add here? So are you adding a dialogue? Are you adding a scene? So, or you probably want to add emotion. Or you want to say, oops, X on. Okay, so this is like all the four kinds of story elements we have. Dialogue, scene. I don't know if I'm giving enough space in between them, but I guess it's okay. Um, 24. Okay, 24. You know, I have a slight OCD, so apologies, guys. So I'm gonna choose all of these buttons, and then I'm gonna group all of them, and then I'm gonna put them in the center. You know, modern problems. Okay, anyways, where's the repeating group? Oh, over here. So this is where we're gonna see all the stories, but before that we need to just put in your story element. Uh, so what we're gonna do is we're going to start putting them this part, which is make sure they are on the same y-axis. Maybe not on the like they need to be center horizontal, like that, and we're like the y-axis should be on the same, which is six. In my case, it's 679. So just copy all of them and put them in the same y-axis. But what you're going to do is that you're going to like disable the viewing, like the element is visible on page load. You're gonna disable for every one of those. So like let's me go down here and say group, and you're gonna disable for every one of those. Okay, group A, group B. Okay, so looks like it's okay. Group C, group D, disable for all of those. Okay. Um, you can see that it says that the project is not saved, but it's actually saved here. The most important thing is you look at this part. If it's saved, it's saved. Just refresh this page. Sometimes it doesn't work properly, so it's better you do that. If you refresh this page, what will happen is, if you remember, we created those one, two, three, I think like four groups. Those four groups will not be visible now because, as you can see here, those groups have become invisible because we said that on the project load we don't want to make them visible. So now let's start configuring each one of those groups. Let's go to group A here. So let's go ahead and center them horizontally, and first let's set up a scene here. So let's start with this one here. So when I click, let's go to data here first. Let's say story element. Okay, and this each story element is going to be tied to a story. um, okay, you know what, all right, let's do something here. Let's create a story here. Let's create only one entity called story. um Oh yeah, you know what? We need to create a story element as well. Actually, yeah. So let's go to story and let's call this title. This title of the story, which is text. Okay, and then what I was thinking is, what if I could have the script story element as a simple text, right? But the problem with this is if I create this, I can of course create story elements, but the problem is those characters will like in the future if I want to do something with the characters, like if I want to show a profile, the picture of the character, I cannot do that because if I want to display the character picture, I need to display the name of the character as well. And when I want to display two different elements on a single entity, I would need to I would need to save them on a different data element. And for that, I need to go back and create a different data set itself. So might as well, not do this. Instead, let's do something like this. Story element is like every each and every instance. um, I will not create a different story element for scene, dialogue, emotion, or axon. All of this will come under the same story element, except the only thing is I will have the text itself. Okay, the text will have um, so we'll have the text. We'll also have the story reference. Okay. Now what this is that every story element will be tied to a story. So that when if I load a particular story, I will load all the story elements that belong to that particular story. So I've done this to pretty much almost all of my tutorials. So I don't know if that makes sense now. So every time I create a new story, I will add the story reference to the current page story. So before you proceed, click on the empty portion of this page, and over here you can see something that says type of content. Click on story, and field for readable URL will be title. This title is not really important except it makes the URL more understandable. Okay, so let's go ahead and click on add here. Where okay, you know what? Let's, before making this button work, um, okay, there's one more thing we need to do is that we need to start defining the characters in a story. So, so we're gonna have characters. Okay. We're gonna have the text, the name of the character. It's gonna be text again, and then of course a story reference. Okay. Um, which is going to be story. Oh yeah. So all the characters are going to belong to one story. So I hope that makes sense. I don't know if that's the best approach, but let's go ahead and try with this one. So if I click on add, I will click on edit. Okay. So say data, create a new thing, which is we're first going to create a character, and the story reference will be the current page story. So which is the current page story? We're going to pass that from the index page. So we're going to say tell a story. We're going to create a new story first, and then we're going to give it the title as the title coming from the input name of the story, and then we're going to reset a lot of relevant inputs. But before we do that, we'll pass them on to the story editor page because this person is the creator of the story. So the data to send is the creator, the story that he just created. So this story will be passed on to the next page here. So now we're editing the story that we just created. So this page is the story editor. So every time a user wants to edit the story, he just needs to bookmark the story page in there, and next time you'll be able to edit the story. So before I think this is needless to say, but we'll click on this repeating list and say type of the content as characters. Do a search for characters, and then you want to say add a constraint story reference equals the current page story. You want to do something similar. Your type of the content is story elements. You want to do a search for all the story elements. Um, that story reference is equal to the current page story. So now what this does is pretty much it loads all the scripts, like the story elements from the current page story, which is the story that we just created, and the characters will be created. We still have to define what it should do when I create the character. So when I say create a new character, that the name of the character will come from the text input there. So as you can say, name of the character, see here, that's the name of the field. So you can just hover around and see name of the character, and the story that this character will belong to is a current page story. So after I do that, I reset this value here so that next time I add, I can like this field will be fresh. All right. So this I will, instead of the name of the character, I will fetch it from So this video is brought to you by Zero Code. So if you're looking to build a dynamic website for your business or for yourself, you can hire these wonderful guys at Zero Code who have a lot of experience with developing applications using Bubble, or you can buy one of their premium quality templates, and which will take a lot of time to actually develop. So if you are interested, go check out the link in the description. It also helps this channel. So yeah. So let's fetch the name of the character from the database, from the table column, and say current sales characters name, and that will display the name that we just created or that we have from the database. We did a similar thing for the stories down here. Now we just have the name script. So let's go ahead and fetch the script. Oh, actually, the format of the script, although we have like four formats like dialogue, scene, emotion, and axon, when we're creating that story element, we will actually format it, but here we'll just display the text itself. So that's why we have a common story element text. Now, as for what the story element text is, that we will define when we are creating the element itself. So just go ahead and type it like this. Now let's go to the group A first. The group A is the standard scene here. It's going to be just one line of text. Technically, that's what we're going to do is we're going to say create a new story element and say text equals insert dynamic data, describe your scene here's value. And then the same thing goes here, say, sorry, not the text, now this time story reference is equal to current page story. So this story element will belong to the current page story, that's what we're saying here. So let's copy this, and actually one more thing is reset relevant inputs, so that this text input is free so that the next time I add something, it can be easily added there. So that's one, and let's go to the second thing, which is well, the scene part. But let's go to yeah the scene. So we just finished the scene part. Let's go finish the dialogue. So let's type in group. The next thing here is the dialogue. So we want to save this, and this to form a single story element. As you can see here down that it's not properly aligned. So let's go ahead and click on add now. So we have the same thing here. Just copy paste it, or you can do the same thing again, create a new thing and say story element and the story reference equal to this. But the text is not going to come from that. Text will be formatted like this. So we're going to have the first, the person, and then we're going to have him doing something, so says, and then they're going to keep a space, and then the dialogue itself. Now, it's important to type in this format first because that spacing is allocated like this. So now, like select this X now, and then just like insert dynamic data and say, um, so the X refers to the character, so that will get from the value. And as for says, again, it can be says, it can be respond or whatever, right? So we want to say kind of dialogue, and that value will come from that input. And instead of this rubbish here, we'll take that from the multi-line input, which is where he writes the actual dialogue. That's how the text is going to be formatted. And when I say the same thing, we send the relevant inputs. Um, now we have the dialogue created. Now let's go to the next thing, which is emotion. So before I go to emotion, let's go to group C, which is, as you can see here, it's not center aligned, so let's center horizontal. And what you want to do is you want to say, click on add, you want to go to, so this is, I believe this is axon. So actually this is not emotion, this is axon. So let's go here and say create. Oh, I'm gonna copy paste it. Instead of text, it's going to be text is equal to. So this is X is going to act on Y, right? So Y is a character, so that's going to be the second character. The one way to remember, like if you want to remember like which drop down is for which, because in this two you may have a confusion. So this is the first character and this is the second character. Type it like this so that when you go to the workflow, it's easy to find out if you're, as you can see here, this is the second character. Now the X refers to the first character, so we say first character. Now instead of acts, we will define the act that's coming from the drop down, so we remove that and we replace that with choose action value. So as you can see here, now we have the appropriate spacing. Now we can remove that 1 and 2 because that looks awkward. We only need that to know when we're when creating the workflows as to what is what, right? So the next thing we want to have is a group E. Oh, that's the tabs. Over here, so choose emotion. So we want to say which character is feeling what emotion. Um, so you want to go to the add here, and you want to say create a oh, when it's copy pasted again. I keep forgetting that. Oh, by the way, I forgot to add this to the previous workflow. Text, you want to remove this. You want to say text equals. This is for emotion, by the way. So there's one thing that's missing here is that first we want to say X feels uh whatever uh come on mo. Okay, now this word fields actually does not come from any drop down or anything from a dynamic database. We would just want to keep it as fields as dynamic as static text. So X will be replaced with a character name. So we say what is the character who feels this emotion. So the emo will be replaced by whatever is the emotion that he's feeling over there. And also you want to like recent the relevant input so that that's what happens. There's one more problem here is that we have not really defined what will happen when I click on these buttons, because well, what we want to do is, because Bubble actually does not have a tab element yet, so we have to stick to like creating buttons and like hiding in showing elements. So when I click on this one is what this one is a dialog. So when I click on the dialog button, I want to show the dialog group, which if you want to hover on, you can find out. Like this is the hover. So I'm saying show group B, so which means that I want to hide every other group. Okay, so I just copy paste this. Oops, not this one. I'm gonna copy paste this like 3 times, so you can just replace the group A to like except for group C, you wanna hide everything else as well, which is group A, group C, group D. Okay, so perfect. Now you wanna go to the next thing, which is scene. So you wanna show the scene and hide everything else. So that will be, we're gonna show the group A, which means that we will hide every other group. So it's we're gonna hide group B, we're gonna hide um, group C, and then we're also gonna hide group D. So yeah, that's that. We do something very similar over here. The emotions, we say we want to show the emotions group, which I guess is C. No, it's the D. So we want to show group D and we want to hide everything else. So we want to hide group A, group B, and group C. And group C. Something again repetitive over here to axon. You want to say hide, oh sorry, show the action, which is this, and you want to hide group A, group B, and group B and group D, right? So this is gonna work. But there's one thing that you can do to make this like kind of fun to move around is you can go down and add some animation. So you can say animate collapse operation. So instead of slide up and down, make it fade in and out. Do this something very similar to this one. Actually, this collapse element when height hidden is actually a very important and crucial feature. So for example, you have a text here, and if the text field is empty on the vertical side, if you have a text on the top, if the text field is, I mean, if the image is empty, what it will do, this works by the way only on groups. So for example, you have an image here, like instead of this case, if the image field is empty, it will actually collapse that space, and it will make it appear as if that element didn't even exist. So it won't take up that space that was allocated for image if that image field does not exist. So you want to do something similar here. You want to say fade in and out. You want to add the same thing for the other groups. So it looks a little better when you're looking at it. So I'm going to fade in and out. Group B, fade in and out. Group C, uh, fade in and out. I think it's a group D already has it, right? So let's preview this out. Actually, we have a couple of bugs. We'll check that out before we do that. I'm pretty sure we have a couple of bugs. By the way, we want to have the delete button there. So let's go ahead and create the function for it. So it is Pretty much simple. It's like data, it's a delete thing, and that is the current cell story element. We want to refresh this page. So, oh, by the way, we forgot to like define the characters here. It's not static choices, it's dynamic choices. So we want to say characters as a type, the dynamic. So it's gonna come from this place here. So we're gonna display the characters coming from here. So our choice source is the current page stories. Oh no, when I say do a search for characters, story reference equals current page story. So what this will do is this will get um, all the characters that have been created for this current page story, and the option captions will be current options name. Okay, so the name of that character will display over here. You're going to do something similar over here as well. um, Instead of static choices, it will be dynamic choices. Type of choices will be characters. I'm going to say do a search for characters. You want to say story reference equals current page story. Again, the same logic. You want to say current options name. So you want to display all the characters. Again, we have a number of places where we have this drop down, so you want to do repeat the same thing everywhere. So I say static choices to dynamic choices, type of choices characters. I want to say do a search for characters. Again, story reference equals um, current page story. Actually, one thing is I think a better approach to do this is, oh by the way, I forgot this, current options name. A better thing to do always is to first like create one of this drop down, make this perfect, and then just copy and paste it everywhere instead of like making all the drop downs and then adding logic to everything, which is maybe not the right best option to do. So yeah, this is going to be again repetitive step. Story reference equals current page story, current options name. So again, actions is again static. So let's see where else we have the thing. Choose character, choose character, choose character. Okay, I guess we have everything. Um, okay, looks like we can now test this out. We have a couple of bugs. We'll check that out later. Let's go ahead and create a new character called Bob. And let's click on add. So we have one character. So let's go ahead and choose this character. Bob is said um, hola and say add. It said, oh, it doesn't show the name of the character there. So what's the problem? So let's go ahead and say an add. I don't know which one ad, which ad are we talking about here? Let's go to add here, and let's go over here. Ah, okay. Say so wanna drop down character's name. Oh, we want. Okay. Do you want to do something like this? Okay. The last time, if you remember, we have to say drop down's value, and we have to say that now because it's coming from a dynamic data, we just have to replace that. It's nothing, no big deal. Just have to like select that. Uh, in this case, like if you go here, like where, let's go to, you know what? Let's go revisit every single data now. Scene is not a problem. Let's go to group B here. Now, because it's coming from a dynamic database, what you need to do is you want to say click on add, go to add here, and just click on create a new story element. Here everything's fine, we just fixed that. So let's go to group C here. Now in this case, because we have two, let's go ahead and change that back because so that I know which one I'm talking about. So click on add. So I go back here. The first one is drop downs characters name. You want to do something here similar here. Drop down choose. Uh, Now drop down choose name. Okay, something very similar over here. I'm gonna say choose character. I guess which is this one. Name. Do something very similar here. Uh, okay, has to be the last element of the thing. Okay, fine. Let's copy and paste this over here. That's the tell a story thing. You know what? Let's start from the beginning. Now we have 0 errors. So let's go ahead and create this from the beginning. So let's call this story stranger. Oh no, I might get copyright strike. So let's call this I don't know, the tale of the nerds. Okay, and let's tell a story where we have a character called Steve, and we also have a character called Bob. Um, if you guys are followers of Stranger Things, you can see where I'm trying to take this. So I want to first describe the scene here. One night, So there's the first scene. It was having dialogue. Bob said, "What's going on?" Um, Again, guys, this might be looking like really cheesy for you. Maybe it's not. Like maybe you could say Steve feels very, you know, probably I don't know what makes more sense here. Like feels really scared, so it's a very 90 thing. So now one thing is we have a story editor here. We can create stories. Now one thing is you can add as many sections as you want to, as many things as you want to the character. One of the things I did was I added images. You maybe want to add some things like that if you want to. But you know what? Before I move on to the final thing, I just want to copy this. One thing we forgot to do was we forgot to add the logic to delete the character. So let's go ahead and finalize that. Data thing, say delete thing, current cells, characters. So if I click on the delete button, it should work. That was just like bonus stuff. But just copy this. You want to create a new page called story, and we don't want to clone this from anywhere. You just want to show that, and we just copy paste it here. And there's one problem because I don't know if you guys can see this, but we first need to say the type of content is story, and we want to say the field for readable URL is title. Now this is what everybody will be able to see. If I want to share this with anybody who doesn't want to edit my thing, I want to remove the delete button. And I want to show the text of the story here. So I'll say current page stories title. And what is the story? Well, I mean, which story we're talking about? That we will define. That we will say when. Oh wait, by the way, let's say center like this. Okay. You know what? I think it's better if we change even the header's font to Cozy. What do you say? Let's take that out. I think it would be better. Cozy. Yeah, change this one. Should be better, right? So you know what? What we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the story editor, and we're gonna like add another button here. Uh, that is going to say preview, and we're gonna change the style of this button to something like an info button. So so when I click on preview, so this is when I'm editing the story. So like this is a custom story. This is one. Let's refresh this page. So by the way, if you want to come back and edit this page, you need to refresh. Like I want to save this, bookmark this page because this page is what is used for editing this thing. But if you want to show this to other people, oh, but we forgot to add the workflow for this. You want to say start edit workflow, navigation, go to the story page. You want to say data descent is current page story because well, we're just previewing this current page story there, so we're not really doing anything there. Although it says preview, I think it should be something like a little bit more. So what the result we're expecting is pretty much the same thing, except we'll not have the ability to edit the story. So now I can. This is a story, the tale of the nerds, and this is a script. All right. So isn't that pretty cool? So one of the things you guys can do is add a share button so people can share their stories with their friends, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Like you guys can do so much with this project, and the potential is literally limitless. I actually did this project for my pastime. It was really. I was really thinking it would take. I think this could be really helpful, like at least to me. Although I'm not really an actor or something, I dream of making an animated movie someday. I don't know if I will be able to, but let's hope I will be able to. But yeah, so for all of us dreamers out there, maybe what if we could create a social networking site out of this, or make this like democratize storytelling, or something like that. Make this easy for everybody to tell stories. So that's what this project was about. Like, if you guys have any other ideas and if you build something out of it, go to the site called creatorschool.com. In the link in the description will take you to a page in creatorschool.com where you can discuss about this project, share your project creation, and share your ideas, what other features we can add. Or if you have created something, like please let us know what you've built, so that all of us can grow together. And check out Creative School. And if you like this video, please be sure to like this video and comments. It helps this channel. And yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I shall see you guys in another hack project tutorial.